It's truly awesome to have this global audience to chat with. Given the time zone discussion, I'll mention that while at South Pole, I got to run around the world in just a few minutes, time zone by time zone. That
That's
was
amazing.
one of those strange things that travel allows you. But at any rate, it's I think wonderful to be here talking about this, knowing that the Philippines are planning their own extensive tree planting program, and we'll see what this story that I found in the news can add to the discussion. Next slide. There's just a wealth of information that's available online on the importance of trees, and this is just another story. But one of the things that I really love about this particular story, and the picture is, you know, this does not have to be high tech, but it does involve really dedicated local people, you know, making this happen. And I think the characteristics of the seedlings that are in view in this first slide really make that point of, you know, somebody created those, you know, those containers to carry the seedlings to where they will go in the ground. And that is a dedication that is just impressive. And the reality is trees everywhere must be able to cope with projected climate change. There's another BBC story in the news just tonight about rubber trees suffering from a combination of effects that I invite you to look for. Next slide. This is the reality, is that the trees, forest canopies can be lost through man-made activity, through wildfires, through storms, and it can take a really long time for these important parts of our global ecosystem to recover. I'm breathing air tonight, and I know it doesn't all come from trees, but I am grateful for what air does come from trees. That's just one of the ways that they contribute. There's all sorts of other factors which have been covered by one or more of us in these webinars over the years. I just like walking within forest canopies, for example, especially when I can, these days of isolation during the pandemic. Next slide. You know, and they just add a extraordinary beauty to the landscape is one of the many positive attributes that trees provide. And if you've ever been in an old growth forest, and I imagine there probably are some where you can get to in the Philippines. I went to one when I was still a graduate student up at State College, Penn State University. There was a legal dispute, and several hundred acres of Pennsylvania old growth forest got turned into a state park because it just escaped the charcoal making era. That was the original fuel for some of the earliest iron and steel manufacturing in the industrial era of the United States. And it's really a special place. And so for those of you that haven't been able to get to an old growth forest, put that on your bucket list and make a journey. It's really beautiful to see. Next slide. This is the video that Brian will play at the end of this. But again, here is you know, the crucial nature of planting trees and the importance of getting the local population involved to make sure that those trees have every chance to survive. Not only are you seeing, you know, a range of ages of the people that are supporting this, but you're seeing, you know, however you can take water to get those trees a good start in those containers, absolutely crucial. And the green wall that will hopefully be planted between the Sahara Desert and the areas that are not quite so arid, where the people are trying to make their lives livable, will hopefully become a reality in the next few years. So this is an important step for these people, and no wonder they're invested in making that step. Next slide. There's so many details in this story, and the supporting research paper, which you see the reference for. 10 golden rules for reforestation to optimize carbon sequestration, biodiversity recovery, and livelihood benefits. And that's, you know, kind of the complete package. It doesn't always work out, as this example illustrates, where this tree planting initiative in Madagascar did not work out. There was some success, but there were also unintended consequences, which is, as the old joke goes, you know, for every solution there's a problem, for every problem there's a solution. I think I said that backwards, but you get the message. Next slide. So tree planting is a great solution to reduce future climate change and also to protect biodiversity, but you have to know how to do it. The wrong tree in the wrong place can do more harm than good. We all know this, that have been on these webinars over the many months. Forests are essential to life on Earth. A home to 3/4 of the world's plants and animals, taking up carbon dioxide, providing food, fuels, medicines, and as I've mentioned, the aesthetic and cultural recreational activities. There are many ambitious tree planting projects. We're going to hear about another one later on in this session, and it's important to support them. However, you may be able to. The green wall would become the largest living structure on Earth, 3 times the size of the Great Barrier Reef, and we'll see that video in a bit. So just keep in mind, planting trees is highly complex, and as many people here in my hometown of Greenbelt, Maryland have shown, planting the wrong tree underneath the power lines does not do the tree or the power lines any good. More succinctly, if you plant the wrong tree in the wrong place, you could do more harm than good. And I think that's the last slide before we get to, oh yeah, some additional reference material, which you can refer to when this recorded webinar is distributed. And I think that takes us to the more golden rules, sorry. And this is a oh right, I remember I put this on here in part because it gives you a sense of where the Great Green Wall will be planted along the border between the Sahel, the greener areas of the northern part of Africa, and the browner areas, or the Sahara proper. But it's also a tribute to the folks on Apollo 17 who apparently just took this picture on a whim, as they weren't scheduled to take it. There's also a neat story available online about a similar picture called Earthrise that was taken by Apollo 8 that is available online. There's a 30-minute short film about taking that picture and what it meant to the environmental movement back in the 1960s. So I invite you to look that up. I came across it after I created this particular slide. And there's also Antarctica down in the bottom, but not quite South Pole. Just connecting back to that little point. Now I think you can go to the Facebook video, Brian.
All right. I'm going to click on this and it's going to take me to my browser. So then I'll start it from there in YouTube directly.
Great, thanks.
Watch live TV, 5+ top channels.
Sorry, gotta get to the commercial first. You all know that.
That face,
One more commercial.
that is usually covered by her phone, has finally made an appearance.
When there were no trees, the wind used to dig up and erode the soil, but it is more protected now. The leaves provide compost and the canopy increases the humidity of the environment and offers some shade, so there is less need for a lot of watering. Before there was widespread drought and hunger here, then the tree planting took place and then a garden for the women to grow crops. It has really helped the people. Now we have 200 women working on it, and they are being paid well. Before, people used to migrate, but nowadays they just follow the line of the Great Green Wall for jobs. They no longer leave.
Before we didn't have any work, but now we have jobs, and economically it's good. The Great Green Wall is very useful to us because we grow many vegetables, and now we can buy produce more cheaply. I want to continue to work and for our kids to work on the Great Green Wall so that they can make a future for themselves.